the police will just move in and pick off those that they see as actually being people that are maybe trying to provoke other members in the crowd.
The government has decided to prescribe Palestine Action as a terror group. The decision comes after protesters damaged 2 RAF aircraft at Brize Norton, Britain's largest RAF military base. Hi, I'm Emily Carver and this is GB News Originals. Please don't forget to subscribe to the GB News YouTube channel while you're here. Now today, protesters were in London, central London, congregating around Trafalgar Square, protesting against the government's decision, and within an hour, multiple arrests were made. Let's take a look. So what's happening here, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, the police will just move in and pick off those that they see as actually being people that are maybe trying to provoke other members in the crowd to go on, or maybe they're shouting or swearing at the officers. You don't know. Every now and again, the police will move in, but often what happens, depending on the size of the crowd, is that the police will feel that it's more of a reasonable tactic to just kind of hang fire, contain the situation and not move in, because sometimes it can actually exacerbate a situation. But they will do it from time to time, depending on what people are doing in the crowd there. So clearly the police feel there's enough.
Now, the Met Police chief said he was shocked and frustrated that the rally is going ahead. Now, the rally was intended to only take place between 12 and 3 o'clock, but it has continued on past that very time. And as we said, there were many arrests. In a written statement, the Home Secretary said, "I have decided to prescribe Palestine Action under Section 3 of the Terrorism Act 2000. A draft prescription order will be laid in Parliament on Monday, June the 30th. The banning will place Palestine Action on par with other terror groups like Hamas, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hizb ut-Tahrir, and others that have been prescribed in this country." So there's a big question mark over whether this is the right decision. Earlier today, we debated this on Good Afternoon Britain with former Met Police Detective Mike Neville and the human rights activist Peter Tatchell.
OK, Mike, we're going to start with you. Why should this organisation be proscribed as a terror organisation?
Well, I think it's one thing to protest, and we don't want to live in any country where there's not a right to protest. And it's acceptable, I suppose, to target private arms dealers and things like that. And even as a former police officer, I suppose it's acceptable to have a fight with the police. But where it comes, the line is crossed, is when you attack our armed forces, when you invade an RAF base and you damage capability to defend this nation, at a time when we're really faced with global conflict in Ukraine and then Iran and all other places across the world. That is a step across the line, and that's why I think they should be prescribed as a terrorist organisation.
OK, well, let's throw that to Peter. Peter, why wouldn't you want this criminal group not to be prescribed?
To ban Palestine Action would be to put them on the same legal footing as Hamas and Al-Qaeda, clearly monstrous terrorist organizations. Whatever you think about Palestine Action, they do not attack and harm people. They are a non-violent, peaceful protester. And their action involved spray painting some RAF planes. You can't equate spray painting a plane with a terrorist outrage that kills hundreds of innocent people. So it's complete overreach, and Palestine Action rightly says they are seeking to uphold international human rights law, which Britain has signed. They are seeking to prevent the mass indiscriminate killing of Gazan civilians by Israel, which is a war crime under international law. So they are upholders of the law, but they are using these methods to draw attention to Britain's collusion with Israel. And we have to be honest here, Britain is colluding with Israel on logistics and technical support, and that makes us colluding with war crimes and crimes against humanity.
I just want to draw your attention to what we're seeing on our screens right now. Next to a line of police officers is a protester who has dressed up as a victim of a Nazi concentration camp in the sort of striped pyjamas that we're all familiar Auschwitz victims were forced to wear. But in place of a Star of David, as the victims in Auschwitz had sewn onto their uniforms, this particular protester has sewn a crescent moon, a symbol of Islam, holding a sign there saying, "We are all Palestine Action." Just to both you, Mike and Peter, I just want your reaction to this fairly provocative and rather extreme statement here, evoking the Holocaust at this particular protest. To you, Mike, first.
I think it's absolutely vile. I mean, I know so many Jewish friends who won't even travel into central London, particularly on the Saturdays when the Palestinian marches are taking place. And I just think it shows the depths that these people will go to. I think it's a disgrace, it's an outrage to bring the Holocaust into this. 6 million Jews lost in the Second World War. It just shows the depths of depravity these people clamber into.
Peter?
Well, I don't think you can down the whole movement on the basis of what one person does. The vast majority.
I haven't seen anyone go up to this protester and say, maybe you should, not be involved in this. They're all happy to stand by this person.
Clearly, the protester is standing apart from everyone else. I'm not too sure the reason why, but we can't judge. We're not there. We don't know the situation. I think the focus has to be on the fact that Britain is supplying military logistics and support to Israel, which the United Nations have said is acting in ways that is killing thousands, tens of thousands of innocent Palestinian civilians in Gaza, including an estimated 15,000 children.
So Peter, if it was a cause that you didn't believe in, would you be happy for the group to be proscribed?
No. I oppose prescription, except in the most extreme instances. Prescription should be reserved for extreme terrorist organizations, whether on the left or the right. But it should not.
There's always going to be a range, though, isn't there? There's always going to be a range. Some terrorist groups are responsible for more deaths than others. Some terror groups are more successful at others at terrorising. This is a group that has had over 356 direct actions since 2020 at UK defence and tech sites. £55 million in damage estimated, 30 million in facility losses, 25 million from recent aircraft engine damage. That could have been very dangerous indeed. Drone factory occupations, they've chained themselves to facilities. They've been arrested over plotting to disrupt the London Stock Exchange. They spray painted the Balfour portrait at Cambridge Trinity College. Surely tougher action needs to happen, if not prescription, Peter.
Well, these people in Palestine Action are motivated by high moral principles to stop genocide, to uphold international human rights law. I am sure that they are prepared to pay the price for their illegal actions because they're following their conscience in the tradition of Gandhi and Martin Luther King.
Okay,
they
Mike,
broke the law.
They broke the
law and were prepared to pay the price, and so are these protesters. And I think their moral stand is laudable.
The means justify the end justifies the cause justifies the means here, Mike. If the cause is moral enough, in your view, then the action is fine.
It's a questionable thing for everybody, but as I said, neither Gandhi nor Martin Luther King attacked the armed forces of their country, and this is where the line was crossed. The many incidents that you outlined there about chaining themselves to railings and damaging property belonging to defence producers of weapons and things, that's one thing. But they have attacked at a weekend when the bombing of Iran was going on. We might have needed those aircraft to go to Cyprus to work with our allies in the United States. To attack our armed forces is a good reason to prescribe this organisation.
But it wasn't an attack on the armed forces. Palestine Action has no beef with the armed forces per se. It is the use of the armed forces to collude with and assist Israeli war crimes. That's the issue, and it's against international law.
But Peter, the RAF Voyager
human rights law.
The RAF Voyager aircraft that were damaged in this action had not been used in any sort of offensive action over Israel or Gaza. These are refuelling planes that have absolutely zilch to do with whether the UK is involved with Israel or otherwise. And the millions upon millions of pounds of damage that was done to them is a clear and present criminal act. And I suppose this conversation gets tied up with this word terrorist. Perhaps we should leave that to one side. There is a series of groups, there are a series of groups that exist in this country that seem to exist only to commit criminal action, to smash windows, to break military hardware, to cause millions upon millions of pounds of damage. I mean, how can these organisations that are explicitly set up to do illegal things exist legally?
Well, we have our laws, our right to protest, and people who do those acts, they're prepared to pay the price because they believe so strongly that war crimes and genocide must be stopped. And those planes, those refueling planes, I can't guarantee it, but I suspect they have been involved in refueling British aircraft used to aid and abet Israel's war crimes in Gaza.
Well, you don't know that. Peter Tatchell, thank you very much indeed. And Mike Neville, former Met Police detective, thank you very much for that back and forth. It's just interesting, isn't it, Tom, that you never see these protesters coming out against human rights abuses by the Iranian regime, for example. You don't see them coming out against human rights abuses perpetrated by Hamas either, or Hezbollah and the like. It's very much always Israel, the devil.
The place that does actually lock up Muslims and force them into forced labour is China.
Yeah.
The Uyghur Muslims in China have had their heads shaved and put into camps and been chained together, but you don't see anyone standing in striped pyjamas in Trafalgar Square protesting that. You only see them protesting a democratic country in the Middle East that is responding to an invasion it suffered in 2023.
Yeah, well, it's worth pointing out, isn't it, Tom? So let me know what you think. Do you agree with the decision of Palestine Action being prescribed as a terror group? This is a decision that Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, has made. It's a decision that will divide her party behind closed doors, that's for sure. There's a lot of people who have been supportive of Palestine Solidarity Campaign groups, even if they have taken part in criminal activity. Let us know what you think in the comments below. This is Emily Carver, and please don't forget to subscribe to the GB News YouTube channel for more.